What is one of the most pivotal things that is important when it comes to having a successful relationship? Well, this is something that I've talked about many, many times in great explanatory form. So listen, don't take my word for it. Listen to this clip right here of the popular psych doc known as Psychacks right now. Tune in.
In my opinion, it's better not to ask a woman for anything she's not willing to do. And if you think, Orion, well, why the fuck would I be in a relationship if she's not willing to do the thing that I want her to do? And I would answer, yeah, why the fuck would you be in that relationship? My dude, go out and find someone who wants to do the thing you want them to do. Like, that's the fucking secret. As I say in my book, 90% of a successful relationship is selection. Find the woman who enthusiastically wants to do what you want her to do.
So when I was in my late 20s, I had many different philosophies on dating up until that point. And there comes a moment where I really decided to hone down the fundamentals of how to pick and choose and decide on the right partner. So listen, during that time, I was mostly spending my time investing. I was watching many stock market videos and watching the stock market open up just about every morning, seeing what direction my investments were going and listening to any modern news on stocks or investments of the day. Fundamental analysis was the basis in which I looked at when it came to investing. I learned that from one of my mentors and entrepreneurs, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger. May Charlie Munger rest in peace. So when it came to investing in a company on the stock exchange, I knew what to do. So since that was the most rational and pivotal strategy that allowed me to have an incredible financial success, I decided to basically use that framework of thinking and try to apply that to dating. So this is what I came up with. I said to myself, by being as honest as possible, I need to come up with something that is going to work and be strategic. So what am I looking for and what do I want in a partner? This is what I said to myself. What is the most important thing to me when it comes to a woman, when it comes to dating? So I came to the conclusion that the most reasonable thing to do was to choose 3 different things. That was something that I absolutely want in a woman that is a non-negotiable. And I made sure also that those 3 things were not paradoxical or conflicting. So here's an example. Let's say you're a man and you're deciding what type of woman you want. And you're deciding what type of woman you want as far as her career and her employment. So you decide, do I want a woman that has to be gainfully employed? And if you do, then you have to play out certain scenarios, right? Take it from there. You have to say to yourself, well, if a woman is gainfully employed, she's probably going to work long hours, focus a lot of time on work, and not have a lot of time for me, her husband, and or her family. She's going to put work first, especially if she's a high earner. Is this something that I want in a relationship? And then you have to say to yourself, would I be happy with the opposite, which is a woman who's not very gainfully employed? Let's say that she works full-time, maybe a manager at Walmart, or she works part-time as a paralegal or a secretary or something of that nature. I even asked myself, would I take a woman who wasn't employed at all? If she was a good woman, of course. Guess what? 99% of the time I said to myself, I want a woman who is focused on family and relationship first. Not a woman whose primary focus is her being gainfully employed, which will cause issues in the overall relationship and is not in tune with my life focus and path. I said to myself, I have no problem taking a woman who works part-time or not at all, or she could even work full-time employment, doing something that didn't engross or encompass her whole entire life's focus on that. As long as she had no problem dropping her job with the quickness, if I came to her and said to do so for the benefit and the need of the family, that would be okay, because that would be her main focus as far as I'm concerned in a relationship. So that conclusion led me to know when it came to employment, that was not one of the top things on the scale of hierarchy that I wanted for me in my relationship. And come to find out, to be honest, years later, I learned this. When it comes to most competent, successful men, this is not something that these type of men look for as well in a relationship. How ironic. It would be delusional to say, I want a woman who's gainfully employed. She makes tons of money, 6 figures. She's highly and heavily engrossed in her work, but also at the same time, her prime focus is me, her husband, and the children, and she's always there, and she's taking care of the house at a high capacity. That would be deluded and impossible. So now, women, on the other hand, are usually extremely bad at this. Typically, women want something that exemplifies the idealistic man. Okay, they want all the paradoxical characteristics included in what they desire in a man. One example, really quick. Women typically want a highly successful man who has all of these different financial and economic-based benefits, but also at the same time, they want a man who will give them a lot of energy, attention, and time, and they want it completely towards them. So obviously, this is completely paradoxical and doesn't make any sense. Because if you're a man who's highly successful, gainfully employed, and usually work more than 40 hours a week, you usually don't have tremendous and high amounts of time working more than the average blue-collar guy than to pay attention to your wife at tremendously high amounts of time and energy all day. Okay? When you're highly successful, this requires you to spend a lot of time focusing on your work, which is what has allowed you to become successful, tremendously successful in the first place. Spending all of your time, day in and day out, boo loving with your woman is not something you're going to have time for. Spending time with your wife will have to be strategic, and it might even be, more often than none, a tad bit or more than a tad bit less than the blue-collared guy or the guy who does not even work 40 hours a week, who's less than blue-collar.
Trust me, she's out there, though you may have to improve your value proposition to find her. And you may be able to find her in today's day and age, though you will still need to sift through a lot of chaff to discover her. And there it is, gentlemen. To lead your woman, you need to be more competent than she is, and you need to learn how to give orders that neither cannot nor will not be disobeyed. Good luck out there, soldiers.
So if one of the things that you also want is a woman who follows your lead, then is also you can find, that's something you could find, but again, you have to be honest with yourself. This is something that, again, a lot of women have a tremendous misstep with trying to choose a man, for example. A lot of women say they don't need a man. Men are unimportant. I can take care of myself. I don't need anyone. Well, then this is the type of young lady who gets into a relationship with a man. She wants to be head of house, for example, and be a leader. What comes with that? She might be bossy, non-agreeable, and somewhat argumentative at times. She might be as well gainfully employed. That's what non-agreeable people are. And have high earning income within the relationship. She might even say to herself, I don't want a hyper-masculine man who has some type of macho aspects about him and thinks he's an alpha. I want a man who's going to listen to me because I'm a strong, powerful woman. Okay, that's fine. But then what happens is when situations occur, such as she starts an argument with a man on a plane, for example, and she's all up in the guy's face, belittling him and calling him names maybe, because that's something that she typically does to her husband or people she knows. She's a strong alpha type female. But if things start to get extremely heated at some point, she's going to turn and look at her husband or man and insinuate to him that you are the man. You should step in and take care of this. And if he doesn't do it in the moment, best believe later on, she's going to be all up in his grill, pointing her finger in his face, telling him, why didn't you do anything and step up as a man? So obviously this is paradoxical, because she saying that she wanted to be the leader in the relationship, and this being understood by her husband and her, according to her behavior, once you choose a man who accepts this and understands that you, the woman, want to take the lead role in a relationship, again, she might technically be the leader. She might run the show, pay the bills, make all the financial decisions, belittle you and talk down to you in public and run the relationship. But if a tree falls on top of the house, for example, she might and probably is going to expect you, while yelling and screaming, telling you that you're the man. Why don't you go up there and fix the tree that's on top of the house? Again, meanwhile, you don't know that you are not the type of man who goes on the top of a roof and takes trees, branches off of the roof and uses chainsaws and gets on scaffolds and tall ladders and tries to fix things from high places. That was never you. You're not that type of guy. So while the psych hack doctor talks a lot about this in a small clip, in order to have a successful relationship, you do have to choose what you actually desire. And men are better at this than women. And I'm talking mostly to men as a way to give them good advice on picking the right partner. If you want a woman who's going to listen to you and follow your lead, I agree with Psychacks. You're probably going to look for a more submissive woman, and that's going to do you better justice. If you want a more dominant and domineering type of woman who is a leader type, this is probably going to be a more non-agreeable type of woman who might also come with the attributes of being highly successful and highly focused on her career. But you have to decide what you really want in a relationship. So choose 3 main things and make sure they are not paradoxical. When you decide on what 3 things those are, you double down on them. And everything else that has to do with personality traits or qualities, you learn about the person. You have to learn to just accept them. This is because you are going to be getting 3 non-negotiables with the person that you decided to date. And you chose them because of this. And these are what you said you wanted and needed. And if you chose right, you should be okay. And once you get those 3 non-negotiables that you said would provide you the ultimate happiness intrinsically, because that's what you said you would make you the ultimate happiness, you have to accept that, and you will guaranteed have the highest amount of success in a relationship, undoubtedly. So I hope you found tremendous value in this video. Make sure, if you're watching the channel, go out and go in the description box and buy my book, Leftism, The Mental Illnesses of the Political Left. And make sure you stick around for more videos. Make sure you go look at my podcast, Verbal Artwork with Mr. Rembrandt, where I talk with special guests about many different things. Make sure you like and make sure you subscribe. And guess what? I'm Mr. Rembrandt, and I will see you on the next video.